welcome back to A Wild Approach. In today's video, I don't have my little microphone thing plugged in, so I'm sorry if the audio isn't as good as normal because I'm just recording straight to the camera. But in this video, I did want to share a little experiment I'm running. So I've already started some winter sowing outside in just pots I had on hand. I rinsed them out, but I didn't really clean them with bleach or anything like that. So I also wanted to start some in some different new pots because I really want to see what does best. Do I really need to start bleaching my pots? What do I need to do to just have better germination rates and success rates? And does it even matter? So in this video, this is sort of a part 2 to the other winter sowing video, so if you haven't watched that one, feel free to go ahead and watch that one first if you want to, but you can watch them in any order because this is a totally separate experiment that I am running alongside that experiment. And so we're going to compare and contrast 2 different cell trays. These are brand new that I bought today, and I'm not sponsored by anybody yet, so the brand names are just, that's what they had at Lowe's. So this one is Fairy Morse, I guess is how you say it, and it is called the Pro Hex Kit. And what I liked about this is that it's like a little plug tray, they're really small little plug trays, so I can actually have, what does it say, 72 seedlings in one tray. So this can supposedly give me 72 seedlings. Now, the depth is not crazy deep though, so these are going to have to be repotted really quick. So this is the downside to these little tiny itty bitty plug things, is that they are, and they're not even as tall as a lot of the plugs that you would get at a native plant nursery, so they're a little bit shorter and not as deep. So keep that in mind too. So these are going to be just like, you get your true leaves and then you pot it up pretty quick, right? So this is just to get things started. Same thing with this other one. These are small too. They're a little bit larger per cell. This is the Jiffy one. And you only get 50 in here, and it does say peat cells. So the thing about these is instead of the plastic like the other ones, this one is more biodegradable, so they will break down over time. They're not going to break down on you immediately though, so you're able to grow your seedlings and then they'll break down later when you plant them in the ground, right? And what's great about these 2 kits is they each have an actual tray that they come with. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to slide the little thing off just so we can see. Now, the way that these peat ones work is that they look like this. Now, again, they're not super deep, so you've really got to pot these up pretty quick once they come up in the spring. Now, I wouldn't pot them up when they just have the cotyledons. I would pot them up when they have true leaves. Now, what that means is the first leaves that show up on your seedlings are typically not true leaves. They are kind of like the starter leaves just to get the plants started going with sunlight and everything else. And so the second set of leaves is usually the true leaves, and you will notice because they typically have a different leaf shape or size or something like that. So basically, anything small like this, little tiny pots like this, you're probably going to wait until they just get a couple sets of true leaves, and then you're going to immediately pot them up as soon as possible into bigger pots. So this is a little bit different than what I have going on outside right now, and if you watched the previous video, you'll see that what I typically do is I reuse old bigger pots, and my bigger pots are usually about this big around or this big around, and I plant multiple seeds per pot, and then later I divide them out into separate things rather than trying to just grow in individual cells. This is something I haven't done in quite some time, so I did want to go back to it and just kind of see what I thought about it when it comes to doing this with the native plants. What's cool about this set is it's already sectioned. So I can plant like, you know, purple coneflower in this set, and I could plant blue lobelia in this set, and I could plant milkweed in this set, you know, for example. And it's easier to keep track of what you planted where, because I don't know about you guys, but with these tiny little pots, I don't really love the idea of putting a plant stake in every single cell to say this is what is in this pot. So I might just draw a graph of this on paper, or I might just take a picture and then do it on Photoshop. But either way, I do need to figure out a way to keep track of what's in each cell because it's so many per tray. But again, this is cool because you could just plant the same thing in this entire section and you can pop these out really easily. So I love that. So what I want to do first is I do want to see what all comes in this. So first of all, they give you some kind of, it says plant vitamins, so I guess some kind of fertilizer. They give you, oh, they do give you little plant tags. That's cute. Now, I don't really, I guess this is just for each section. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so roughly this, you know, just one per section, one little marker per section, because ideally, I guess you're going to put the same thing in this entire section. So it looks like that's what they've provided for you. So that's cool. Now, what I love about this and these types of seed tray cells, cell trays, is they come with a bottom tray. And what I love about that is if you have been on this channel for a while, you know that my garden is very hot in the summers and even in spring. So even when things are first starting to wake up in the spring, it can get very, very hot. I have a lot of concrete, I'm on a hill, my house faces south, there's not a lot of shade, so you can guess these little pots are going to dry out quick. So I definitely am going to be utilizing these bottom trays to hold water, to keep them as hydrated as possible without, hopefully, without drowning the seedlings. So what we're going to do is first we're just going to pop these pots, these little pot sections, back into this section, this tray, bottom tray. So now we have our cells in our bottom tray. So this is how you would set this up. And then it comes with a greenhouse topper, is what I like to call these. It's just a little plastic piece that you can put on top to create a greenhouse effect. We are probably not going to do this unless I put holes in this. And the reason is because the way I'm going to be growing these plants is I'm going to be putting them outside in the elements so that they can get some cold stratification. So I want the weather to hit them, I want the rain to hit them, and what we could do is we could punch holes in this so that the rain can still get inside, and that could help protect the seedlings from squirrels and birds and things like that. So that is a possibility I might try, but I haven't decided yet. And the reason is because it is a lot of work to drill holes in this entire top of this thing, and it's not the thickest plastic, so it's probably going to crack it, so it's probably not really worth it. So I'm probably not even going to use this part, but if you're going to grow different plants, or if you already cold stratified your seedlings in the fridge, you could probably just grow yours indoors, and you could probably just put this on here for humidity's purpose if you want that humidity. But you know, it really just depends on kind of what growing conditions you have. I already have quite a bit of humidity in my basement, but again, I'm doing these outside, so I don't even need to think about that. So next up is the Fairy Morse Pro Hex Kit. Again, this one holds 72, so the pro of this one is that it can hold more. So the other one only holds, I think it was 50. Yeah, 50 seedlings, but this one can hold 72. So, but again, you're losing the space. They're smaller per cell, so it's kind of a give and take. Also, this was $1 cheaper at the store than the peat ones. So the peat ones are a little bit more expensive, but not crazy more expensive. So we're just going to go ahead and we're going to look at what this comes with. So we're going to slide this off. Oh, okay, so this is also in sections, but it's not in as many sections. This one is in 2 separate halves. So the way that that works, as you'll see, maybe. Okay, they're perforated. So you can pull these 2 apart like that. So they just come apart. So you have 2 separate sections. And I'm telling you what, this plastic is not very thick. So you could probably easily cut these into pieces. And I did want to mention that this, even though this is plastic, it's made from recycled plastic. Let's see. Yeah, it says on the packaging, made of recycled plastic cells. So it's recycled plastic, so that's good. So on the one hand, it sucks that they are plastic because, you know, we don't want more plastic in the world. But on the other hand, they're made of recycled plastic. So at least we're reusing old plastic to create this. And the reason I did want to try these plastic ones is because I'm curious if they are sturdy enough to reuse. You know, like next year, if they are still intact and aren't cracked, then I can reuse them, and then I can get into a regimen of actually cleaning all my pots, you know, the proper way, and just reuse these, if I like them. But it really just depends on if I like them. But this is what the bottom looks like. You can see the little holes. And again, it's thin plastic, so I just don't know how they're going to hold up outside. I really don't. But we're going to find out, I guess. We're going to find out. But we're going to take these, set them aside, and you'll notice that's interesting. Both of these have Jiffy lids. I'm not really sure why. But they both came with Jiffy lids. Maybe Fairy Morse is by Jiffy's. Maybe they're the same brand and I just didn't know. Anyway, so this one also comes with a little greenhouse lid, but again, we're not going to use that. Now, the thing is, they didn't put any fertilizer or plant stakes in this one, plant name stakes. So, for whatever reason, these don't come with that. They are $1 cheaper though, so maybe when you get the peat ones, you're paying for not only the peat part of it, but you're also paying for the extras that come in there. So, you know, do that with what you will. Take that information with what you will, I guess. But anyway, we're going to put those back in the bottom tray. And so this is what it looks like inside the bottom tray. So, what you can do is you can bottom water. With both of these sets, you can put water into the tray down here, and then you can sit your seedlings on that so that they get watered from the bottom, which is better for seedlings like this. So that is another component of the experiment. My other winter sowing pots are bigger. They're outside. They're old pots that I've reused multiple times over the years. And they're using Happy Frog soil. And the difference with these is they're smaller cells. They are cell trays instead of pots. They're going to have bottom trays, and the soil is different. So the soil I'm going to be using is this seed starting potting mix. Now, I know, it's not the best, right? But here's why. I really failed last year with my winter sowing, and I didn't cry about it, but, you know, I thought about it. But I didn't have hardly any success. Almost all of them, I don't even know if I had any that made it. It was that bad. I have never had such a failure rate before. And the main thing that I did differently was I created a new soil mix that I had never used before. And I went online to get the information, so I researched it, but I still think that even though I researched it, I was still just not finding the right information. So I think the information that I found was just wrong, or I don't know, maybe I think another thing is one of the components itself could have just been the wrong kind of component. So I really think that the mix of soil I had last year was just wrong for starting seeds. So that's why I am experimenting this year, and I'm going to be trying 2 different things. This one, and then if you watched my previous video, that's Happy Frog potting mix. So they're different things. Happy Frog potting mix, it says it can be used for indoor or outdoor, but I'm using it for outdoor winter sowing. And Happy Frog is like, you know, organic and it's good and all this stuff. And it was soft and fluffy, but it did have a little bit of woodiness to it. It was slight though, so I think it'll be okay, and I hope it'll be okay. But in the case that it's not, if I fail with those reused pots and with the Happy Frog soil, then I have a backup plan, and it is my old way of doing things. And yes, it is not as sustainable. It is my old way of doing things. It's this seed starting potting mix, and you know, it worked for me back in the day. I had success. I just did. And so I didn't want to go back to it, but I do want to try it, and I just want to see what success I can have. And I get it. It's not going to be a fair experiment because I did not bleach my pots. But I'm still going to try it anyway. I'm going to see what happens, and maybe if something goes wrong, I can at least see why it went wrong, because there's only a couple variables at this point for each experiment. So we'll find out. I think that this experiment could be more fair if I either bleached my old pots that I'm using the Happy Frog soil mix in, or but I've already potted them up, so it's too late for that. Or if I did some of these, like maybe this half was Happy Frog and this half was the seed starting mix over here. You know, something like that. I think that would be more fair, honestly, and I'm just being open with you guys, just letting you know that might be more fair of an experiment. But I'm going to get confused if I do it that way, and I'll tell you why. I have a garden journal and I write things down, but I don't have the best way of organizing that information yet. So when I go back to try to find something in my garden journal, it can take me a long time. And so what I'm concerned about is if I do the half and half of the soil, but then I also have to keep track of what plants are planted in each cell, I feel like I'm just going to get confused and lose track of the information, and I think it's already going to be difficult to remember what plants I planted in each cell of this. So for now, I'm going to do this. And, you know, depending on how things go next year, I might do a new experiment where I do just, you know, whichever pots I liked better, you know, just picking whichever potting process I liked better, and then taking that potting process and then doing half of them with this and half of them with Happy Frog. I don't know. I just can't do it this year. I just don't have the brain juice, I guess, to do that this year. So this is what we're doing, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to moisten my soil and put it in the containers. And I might even watch a little tutorial myself on how to properly do that with cells, because I want to moisten the soil, but I don't, you know, I want to evenly moisten the soil, and I think I'm supposed to do that before I put them in the cells. So we'll be right back. Alright everyone, so we are back, and I have pre-moistened all my soil, and I've put all my soil into the cells of the trays. So I'll show you that right now. So here are the peat ones that are biodegradable, and then here are the recycled plastic that we can supposedly reuse next year, but we'll see. So they're filled with soil, it's moistened soil. And I have them in the trays as well, the bottom trays, so that as I water them, I can water them from the bottom. And I think this is going to be really important with these, because not only are they completely filled with soil, there's not really a gap. Usually in bigger pots, when you plant things in pots, you will leave like a ½ inch to an inch of a gap between the soil level and the pot level. So It's not like that with these, so you definitely want to water them from the base. I have these little plant name tags, and I'm going to use pencil. If I can actually write in pencil on these, we'll see. But pencil is way better for outdoors than Sharpie markers. Now, if you can find outdoor paint pens, outdoor markers, then that's great. But they have to be for outdoor or they're going to just fade. If you do just regular old markers, like Sharpie, regular Sharpie, they are just going to fade in the sun. So we're going to use pencil on these, and I've already picked out some seeds to sow. I've picked out swamp milkweed and cutleaf coneflower, Rudbeckia lacinata, and gray-headed coneflower. Those only need 30 days of stratification. And when I say stratification in this case, I mean cold, moist stratification. And then next up, I have liatris. I have river oats, which I cannot pronounce the scientific name, but I'm going to try. Chasmanthium latifolium. But that's the river oats. And then I have golden Alexander. Golden Alexander. So what these need is these just need 60 days. I say just. The other ones were 30, but these need 60 days of cold moist stratification. And the reason I said just is because the next group of plants that I'm going to sow, they need the same thing. They need 60 days of cold moist stratification, but they also need light to germinate, and that is great blue lobelia and that blue mist flower. So I'm keeping them in groups like that to just help me remember to tell you guys that. So from now on, I don't really have to keep them grouped together now that I've got that out of the way. So since I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 groups of plants, and I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I only have 6 tags. So what I am going to do is I also have these plant tags that I've made myself. These are made out of old window blinds that I've just cut into pieces, and I've shown this in previous videos. And I already have liatris right here ready to go, so I can just use this for my liatris tags. And I can go through here and search through here and find the ones that I already have, and then whichever ones I need to write, I can write on here. So I'm just going to go through and look through these really quick. It looks like I already have Golden Alexander as window blind version tags. And I also have river oats. So that's 3 out of, what did I say, 8? So I only really need like 5 of these fairy morse plant tags. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my tags over here so that I don't lose track of them. And I'm going to sit my seeds with their tags. So I have river oats next, and Golden Alexander is next. Now, I don't really want to sit the Golden Alexander there because I don't want that bag to get wet or anything. So that's taken care of. So I just need to make my other tags. So I need to make a blue mist flower, great blue lobelia, cutleaf coneflower, swamp milkweed, and gray-headed coneflower tags. So we'll be right back. Okay, folks, so we have it. We have all the tags that we need to get started. So what I actually want to do is I kind of want to try to use these more in these cells because these are smaller than the others, and I just think it would make more sense to use these tags that are smaller in the smaller things, because these other ones are big window blind tags, and they don't seem big when I use regular pots, but for these little tiny things, it's gonna feel big. So I'm gonna put them in the bigger ones. So first I'm gonna just place these tags in these little cells. Okay, so we've got those on that side. Now we're gonna put some plant tags on this side. This is what these look like now. I decided I wanted to have 2 sections of Golden Alexander because I really want to grow that. So we have 2 full sections of Golden Alexander, 1 river oat section, a gray-headed coneflower section, a liatris section, and then over here we have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times 3 is 18. So we have 18 cells of blue mistflower, 18 cells of great blue lobelia, 18 cells of cutleaf coneflower, and 18 cells of swamp milkweed. So now we are going to sow the seeds. Okay, so first of all, there are certain things that need light to germinate, and that would be the great blue lobelia and the blue mistflower. These need to be surface sown. That's very important. These need to be surface sown, but you want them to make good soil contact, so I will be very gently pressing them onto the soil surface, but I have to be careful not to compact the soil. So blue mistflower and great blue lobelia go right next to each other, right here, so we're going to start there. And since they need to be surface sown, I do not need to make a hole. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open these babies up and I'm going to surface sow. Okay, so I have surface sown the blue mistflower and the great blue lobelia. So now I just need to press them into the soil, just very, very gently. So that's what I'm going to do right now. And to press them into the soil, I'm going to use this little headphone thing, and I'm going to gently use the curve to press them in. And I'll show you exactly what I'm going to do. Very, very gently. Don't crush the seeds, just gently press them in. And another way to do it, before we go any further, I saw someone shake their tray, and that should settle the seeds. So I'm going to try that really quick off camera. Okay, so that didn't really seem to work. So I'm going to continue to gently press them in with the curve of this. And I probably oversowed the mistflower. It was really hard not to. So we'll just see. I guess it also depends on the germination rate. So hopefully I will get some success with these. But I'm just very barely pressing them in. I'm not squishing them in. I'm just barely touching them so that they touch the soil. And same thing with this great blue lobelia. I'm going to do the same thing with these. You can't even really see the seeds of those. They're super tiny. But I'm going to take a different corner. See, this is the mistflower corner. We're going to take a different corner and we're going to press the blue lobelia seeds in. Just gently, gently, gently press. Next, I'm going to do cutleaf coneflower. And for plants that don't say that they need light to germinate, like cutleaf coneflower, today I'm going to try poking a very, very shallow little dent, I guess, with this. This is just a sewing stripper needle. Oh my gosh. This is just a thread seam ripper. Yeah, this is a seam ripper for sewing. I'm just using the handle to create a little dent. So I'm going to show you that right now. So I'm going to just gently make a very tiny little dent, and that is where the seeds are going to go. Just very lightly making a little dent for the seeds. These seeds are this size. They're small, but I think they need to go in the ground just slightly. So that's what I'm going to do with these. Alright, so I'm going to attempt to show you the actual seed sowing process in these little dips. And after that, I'm just going to do the same thing across all of these, depending on the size of the seed. The bigger the seed, the deeper I will sow them. Okay, so here is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take some of these seeds, put them in my hand, and then show you this process. This is very hard to do with one hand, so please bear with me. I might have to prop my phone up on my tape dispenser or something to get this going. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. I'm gonna take very small amount per hole. Don't want to put too many in there, but I don't want to just put chaff in there either. I think I have chaff mixed in with my seeds, so I'm keeping that in mind as I'm sowing them. So this is what it looks like so far, and then I'm going to cover them up. Alright everyone, thank you so much for being here. That's all for this video. I've got them all sowed, and whenever I water them next, I'll be watering them from the bottom. I actually might water them right now because even though I moistened the soil beforehand, it already feels like it kind of got dry. So I'm going to go ahead and water them from the base, and then I'm going to set them outside so they can get all the rain and the cold and the snow and everything that they need out in the elements to get their cold stratification. So that's it. Some of them need 30 days, some of them need 60 days. So it's currently really close to the end of January. So the 60-day ones, it's gonna be iffy, but we will see how it goes, and I'll give you guys an update as soon as I have one. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next time. I'll see you in the next time. I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys. You all requested it, and it's finally here. Reduce Your Lawn shirts are now available in my brand new merch shop. Thanks so much for supporting the wildlife habitat we're creating. To support the channel, like the video, comment, and subscribe. You can also support my work by buying art from me at macylu.com. Thanks for watching!